Okay, we are on Unit 5 for Geography. This is talking about Europe. This is kind of a big note section, so make sure to pay attention and do both parts. First off, for Europe, the physical features of this continent include being lined by 4 different bodies of water: the Baltic Sea, the North Sea, Mediterranean Sea, and Black Sea. Only a few countries are actually landlocked and they don't border, which means they don't border an ocean or a sea. Look to the map of Europe. The landmass is a large peninsula with smaller peninsulas branching from it. It also includes many islands throughout this continent. In the northern European plain, it has a large lowland which stretches across the northern mainland from Belarus to Ukraine, westward from France to the British Isles. Made of land and isolated hills is the northern European plain. Mountains and highlands on the northern and southern border of these plains are the highest range in the Alpine mountain system. The highest peak in that mountain system is called Mount Blanc, which is 15,771 feet tall. Pass areas or passes are areas between mountains that allow for movement of water, goods, and people. Waterways, which are European rivers that are easily navigable, are things like the Rhine River and the Danube, and they are 2 of the largest rivers that are famous for the transportation networks. Resources throughout Europe can be quite different depending on the area. It is a continent that is a leader in the world economy, partly because of its natural resources. Things like coal and peat, which have been around since the 1800s, has come from Europe and is, as of today, half of the world's coal comes from Europe. Poland is one of the leading countries to produce coal and sulfur throughout the world. Petroleum and natural gas are the most productive areas in Europe for these resources, which are below in the southern part of the Northern Sea. This is controlled by the United Kingdom and Norway for their production, but their government taxes gasoline very heavily to discourage dependence on oil, trying to make the environment better. Rich soils in northern Europe lead to productive livestock and farming for most of this continent. Many farmers raise mainly cattle and hogs in northern Europe. And natural vegetation of Europe is mainly a deciduous forest, which means there is a dense amount of trees or a lot of trees in that forest. They can use them for wood as well as housing and other reasons. Iron ore in this continent means that there is 1/3 of the world's iron ore for making steel, which mainly comes from Sweden. Things like the UK are providing things like clay as well as other pieces from before. Marble comes mainly from Italy, granite from Norway, and lumber from Sweden, Finland, and Norway. The environmental effects of this continent mean that the climate, which is mostly in the westerlies area, they have strong winds that travel from west to east. The westerlies blow a stream of warm air from the sea to the land constantly. Western Europe also has a warmer climate that is more dry than any other humidity. Industrial growth means that there are health risks in the environment, so that's why they tax a lot of their gasoline to mean that goes down. The pollution include the car exhausts and smoke from burning oil and coal in the air. Health risks include breathing problems, eye irritation, and lung disease because of those things. Environmental issues such as air pollution, acid rain, and water pollution are also possible, with things like trying to solve it through chemicals that can be used to release into the air, adding lime to lakes, which stops the effects of acid rain in the water, and cleaning out waste and sewage from the water as well as recycling, which we always do. Throughout the cultural history of the continent, you can see that there is a lot of changes. Rich ethnic mix for centuries of people traveling in the area from spot to spot. Ethnic groups, which are people sharing ancestry, language, and customs, mean that this mix has positive and negative issues throughout history. Migrations of the continent are currently a huge increase due to fighting in Ukraine as well as other areas. Wars like World War I and World War II meant that people also moved to a lot of different places from the areas of battle. The changing boundaries throughout history of different countries and over centuries has also meant that people have moved locations. Due to population changes, many countries are developed differently. Despite this, many European nations have a sense of unity, believing in their human rights, democracy, and governments caring for its citizens. Many European countries are welfare states, a place where the government is the main provider of support for the sick and needy, and the retired, which is different than what the US does based upon healthcare policy. For their population and government information, the welfare state, where the government is the main provider for the sick and needy, as well as the retired, means that many people from Asia, Africa, and Latin America have come over to settle in Europe. These people compete for jobs, housing, and social services because it is not provided by the other place that they used to live. Despite the increase in immigration for the population, it is actually decreasing in the numbers for that increase. So we have more people move over, but the children aren't born to increase that population very quickly. They have a low fertility rate, which means the average number of children born to each woman is lower. It is expected to have a 10% fewer people by 2050. This also means fewer workers for the economy, which can hurt their economy. And with better healthcare, this also means people live longer, thus the increasing taxes for younger people based upon their retirement. Religion and ethnicity in this continent has changed over the centuries, but the main religion has always usually stayed Christianity. Currently, 3/4 of the Northern Europe is actually Lutheran, which is a branch of Christianity. Now, European attitudes towards religion are mostly secular or non-religious. This means that they don't identify with one particular church or religion, but they can still go to practice religious ideals. Doesn't mean that they have to just completely stop practicing a religion. Regardless, most Europeans do identify their moral teachings as those of Roman Catholic, which has been around for a long time. Other religions in this continent include Judaism, Islam, and Protestant religions. When you look at this map, you can see that the religions are spread out throughout the continent depending on location. So the green is Roman Catholic, the yellow is Lutheran, the lighter pink is Anglican, and the dark pink is Catholic. The history of this continent changes from area to area as well. In the Middle Ages, you can see that religion was one of the main focuses during that time. Two particular religions, the Roman Catholic and Eastern Orthodox Church, were the main ones. Roman Catholic Church centers around the Pope and the Vatican City, and they spread Roman culture and law to the Germanic groups living in Western and Central Europe. Eastern Orthodox Church was from the Byzantine Empire, and it was passed to the Eastern Orthodoxy and Greek or Roman culture to Slavic groups. So this is more like Southern European. The German king Charlemagne united most of Western Europe until his death, and that means that the government of feudalism became the way of Europe. Feudalism is meaning that kings giving land to nobles helps to stabilize who is in control. More into the history of the continent, you can see that we talk about Greece and Rome a whole bunch because they are very prominent in early history. This begins with ancient Greeks and Romans about 2,500 years ago, settling near the Mediterranean Sea and spreading their culture and ideas as they travel throughout the rest of Europe. The Greeks have many mountains and islands and seas that they have for their communities to be independent within themselves. Early civilization in Greece relies on farming and fishing for survival near the Aegean Sea, which is across from Greece. They became wealthy through trade and travel. Their territories later developed into city-states, which is a city and its surrounding area, kind of like how we have cities with urban areas around them now. They also created the first democracy in Athens, and you have very popular and very incredible different writings such as the Iliad and the Odyssey, which is literary works that are documenting war and victory as well as mythology. Sparta is also a great example of military pride, and the rest of their current alphabet was created by them that we have now still today. Rome itself is actually a little bit different, and they began as a monarchy until 509 BC. They created the republic ideal, which is people choosing their leaders. And eventually, it became the Roman Empire as part of its power expanding and ruled by a leader called Augustus. During his rule, it was called the Pax Romana, or a time of peace, artistic growth, and expanding the trade lasting 200 years. The Germanic group, called the Byzantine Empire, took down the Roman Empire around 476 AD. When we look to feudalism, you can see who's at the top and bottom of this triangle. The king is at the top, and as it works down, you can see who is given land. And at the very bottom are the ones who are just working for the community and don't have very much money. In the Crusades throughout European history, you can see feudalism is uniting Europe, but the religion of Islam spreads across Southwest Asia to Northern Africa and small parts of Europe. It was founded in 600 AD by the Arab man named Muhammad, gaining control of Palestine, which is where Christians considered to be a holy ground, and they are still fighting over that and arguing today. Nobles gathering volunteers to fight and win back the Holy Land in a religious war called the Crusades that is only partly successful even to this day. Despite this actually creating more ways for people to have trade and travel steadily between Europe and Muslim lands. Okay. The Renaissance comes down later, which is where they're recovering from the bubonic plague or Black Death, which killed about a third of the population in Europe and has interesting art and literature happening at the same time. The Renaissance, or rebirth, is a thriving of Italian cities such as Florence, Rome, and Venice. The Italian cities had large amounts of wealth due to trade and supported art or literature scholars. Poets, sculptors, and painters include Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci. This is also a time of humanism, which is a way of thinking that gave more importance to individual and humane society, which developed during the Renaissance. The Reformation and the Enlightenment of Europe include the idea that begins with Martin Luther's act of trying to correct church practices. Luther nailed a list of penned 95 statements against the practice of selling indulgences against the church door to show how the Catholic religion at the time was corrupt. He began what is known Protestantism, still to this day. The Enlightenment era is the scientific revolution era, where they begin to have a lot more investment and trying to experiment. After the Renaissance, Europeans began to use science to explain more of the reasons for the world's actions, and this includes the scientist Nicholas Copernicus, which is the man who said that the sun is the center of the universe and not the earth. Galileo Galilei, which is the person who had new knowledge from becoming observant and measuring different things. John Locke, who is the man that created the phrase of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, which helps us to make the Declaration of Independence. And then Napoleon Bonaparte, who helped to aid the French in the French Revolution and taking over as the emperor. Looking to the Northern European countries, the top 10 here. The UK, which has countries of England or Britain, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. It is titled the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. The southern part of the Irish island is a completely independent country, so you've got Ireland and Northern Ireland. The physical geography of this area has the English Channel or Thames. I know it's spelled differently, but it's pronounced Thames River. Fertile plains in the southern and eastern areas promote good farming. Rough highlands and mountains of the north and west mean poor farming. Economics of this area are first created during the Industrial Revolution, which is when they manufactured goods and machinery are leading exports. Service industries for this area include banking and healthcare, oil and natural gas, which are leading to energy sources today. Government include constitutional monarchy, which is king or queen serving as a head of state, but they also have elected officials to actively run their government. They also have a parliamentary democracy, including the prime minister, which is very similar to our Congress today. Ireland itself has a physical geography, with the interior of an island having lowland plains, coasts that are rocky cliffs, and an island with regular rainfall that helps things stay green all year round. Low-lying areas have large amounts of peat, which is plants that are partly decayed in water, and peat is used from bogs, which are low swampy lands, and then dried to burn the fuel. Economy itself in that country is mainly farming, manufacturing of clothing, pharmaceuticals, and computer equipment. Farming, which raises sheep, cattle, growing vegetables such as sugar beets and potatoes, helps their economy. But the more famous event that happened in history in the 1800s is when they mainly grew potatoes, and it destroyed the crops in 1840. More than over 1 million people died, and 1 million people left to come to the U.S. for better money. Manufacturing in this country includes Ireland's productivity, which has increased their economic massively in the last couple of years because they make goods in a specific amount of time. It means that they happen faster. Ireland also has different people with their heritage leading back to the Celts, who settled the islands hundreds of years ago. Languages include Irish, Gaelic, and English. Cultures are folk dancing and literature.